The Heat play the 76ers tomorrow, and if we want any idea of winning that game, we have to first get it right on the YouTube streets. Here at Chat Sports, we have a Heat channel, the one you're watching, and we have a 76ers channel. And we are doing a race to see who can get the most subscribers prior to tomorrow's game's tip. So if you want the Heat to win on the court, we have to win on YouTube too, so hit that sub button. Well, folks, this is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I'm Nic Rohloff, and no Terry Rozier on Wednesday against Philadelphia. That is a little bit of a surprise if you ask me, but the main man that Pat Riley traded for just a couple weeks before the trade deadline will not be active for this play-in game against Philadelphia. That is the only bad news on the injury report for the Miami Heat. Kevin Love is going to be active, and then we have Duncan Robinson, who has also missed the last week or so. He is probable, which means he is going to play for the Miami Heat. But the one that caught my eye and is the most noticeable is no Terry Rozier, and it's a little surprising, if you ask me. If you just take it back 3 or 4 days ago to last Friday against the Raptors, Terry Rozier was a game-time decision for that game. And I came out and said that I would like to see Terry Rozier play in that game because him and Tyler Herro have not gotten a lot of work together in the backcourt as the starting group because each one has been injured in separate timetables. And I wanted to see them work together. But if he was a game-time decision for that game, how are we about 5 or 6 days past that and he's not playing? So that is why it's surprising to me, and it's a little bit concerning, if you ask me, that there might be a larger injury here where if the Heat continue to advance in the play-in and in the playoffs, that he actually might be out for those games as well. And that is not good for Miami because he has been downright terrific ever since he joined the Miami Heat. Yes, he got off to a very rocky and rough start. We all remember the first 5 to 7 games that he played in the Heat uniform. He was averaging less than 15 points a game. He was shooting under 30% from 3 and under 35% from the field. But he has corrected that, as we all expected. And in the 31 games he played for Miami, averaging 16 points per game, 42% from the field, and 37% from 3. Those numbers that you see on screen will all play very, very nice. And if you just took it in a very micro perspective, rather than the macro perspective of his entire Heat tenure, the last 2 weeks that he was playing basketball for Miami before he got hurt was absolutely phenomenal basketball. He was shooting damn near 50% from beyond the arc, averaging more than 20 points per game, and he was the main initiator and shot creator for Miami that was doing the most damage. He looked like the guy that Miami could have dreamed of getting in that trade, and in all honesty, he was playing like you would have expected Damian Lillard to play for Miami if they completed that deal in the offseason. Terry Rozier was playing phenomenal basketball, and then when Tyler Herro came back, you wanted to see if that could coexist with how Terry was playing, and it could create that dynamic 4-man group of Bam, Jimmy, Tyler, and Terry that Pat Riley envisioned when he traded Kyle Lowry and that future first-round pick for Terry Rozier. Hopefully he will be able to return very, very soon because the Heat need him. And it sucks that he's not playing on Wednesday, but if they lose that game, they'll need him on Friday against the Hawks/Bulls. And if they win that game, they're going to need him absolutely against the Boston Celtics/New York Knicks over the weekend. So show the love to Terry Rozier. And I like to say these vibes that we throw out in the YouTube comment section actually help the good karma of the universe. If not, get Terry Rozier healthy ASAP. Spam those 2s down below. On the flip side of the Heat injury report, it is very good to have Duncan Robinson and Kevin Love back into the rotation. And I guess Kevin Love can't be considered back because he has been playing, but Duncan has missed a little bit of games here with Terry Rozier over the last week and a half or so. And if you actually just go back over the last month, right, he got hurt, ironically enough, against the Philadelphia 76ers and then missed about 13 days of action. He then returned and played in 5 games. In those 5 games after returning from the back injury, which caused him to miss 13 days, he played horrific basketball. I mean, this is as bad as hoops you can see Duncan Robinson play, only averaging 5 a game, shooting sub 30% from the field, and a very alarming 23% from beyond the arc, because over the course of the season, he was shooting 40+% from 3. So in this little 5-game stretch he had, the fact that he was playing this bad on the offensive end was a real issue, because as I've said multiple times when it comes to the Miami Heat, if Duncan Robinson isn't providing you with three-point shooting and floor spacing and gravitational pull on the opposing defense, he's not going to give you anything, because he is a horrific defender. But with that being said, he is an X factor. And if he is actually going to play, which it seems he will because he is probable, he can change the tide of this game coming off the bench, because I believe he will be, because we'll talk about the rotation in a second. But if he is able to come off the bench and give you that 3 or 4 triple performance off the schneid for Erik Spoelstra, Philly might be in for a hurt of trouble on Wednesday night, as they like to battle to play New York in the first round. And coming up in just a second, we are going to talk about what the Heat rotation will likely look like against Philadelphia on Wednesday. Because if you watched yesterday's video, I gave you what my rotation would be, assuming that all 3 of Rozier, Duncan, and Kevin Love played. They're not all playing, so now we take a little bit of an update on what it looks like and what it should be. But first, we are sponsored by PrizePicks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in North America. Over 3 million members play PrizePicks on a daily basis. Why? Well, it's the easiest and most exciting way to get on the action while you watch favorite sports and players. All you do is pick more or less on 2 or more players' stat projections, and you can watch the winnings roll in. It is that easy. And as the play-in gets started tonight with the Western Conference, tomorrow with the East, get in on the playoff action, win up to 100 times your money with PrizePicks, as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. I already made my entry for Wednesday night between Miami and Philadelphia. I'll take the more than on Haywood Highsmith, half a steal. I think he's going to get his hands on at least one ball. He's a terrific defender with a 7-foot wingspan. He'll get in the passing lanes. It is play-in/playoff time. Do we expect Jimmy Butler to finally show up and show out? I do. I'll take the more than on 23.5 points for Jay. But he also hates Philadelphia because of the way his tenure went with the Sixers. I expect him to come out with a vengeance. I think Tyler Herro has a good game in that backcourt. They're going to need him to. I'll take the more than on 19.5. And Joel Embiid more than 24.5. It's just a goblin. I'll take a little bit less out of a payout for a little bit less of a risk. That's the best thing about PrizePicks. They let you do a lot of different cool things with Demons and Goblins, Taco Tuesday, daily flash specials. It's absolutely awesome. It also offers injury insurance, by the way, which means that if someone on that entry that I just put in got hurt in the first half and did not return in the second half, well, I could still win money, and that PrizePicks will not be held against me. One of the only daily fantasy sports app that offers that injury insurance. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get a first deposit match up to $100. You could also go into the description and comments of today's video, click on that link that is in the chat, which is prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS. All right, let's take a look at what I think Erik Spoelstra's likely rotation will be against the Philadelphia 76ers. Yesterday, I gave you what my rotation would be, but this is what I think it would be against the Sixers. I think Caleb Martin is in this starting lineup with Tyler Herro, like it has been over the last 5 games. Jimmy Butler, Bam, and Nikola Jovic will be in your front court. And then when you think about the bench that will be there for Miami, I think it will be Duncan Robinson, Kevin Love, Haywood Highsmith, Delon Wright, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. And yesterday I said I don't think that Jaime will play in this game. I think Delon Wright will eat up in his minutes. But I think that will change with no Terry Rozier. I think Jaime Jaquez Jr. will complete that 10-man lineup since Terry Rozier is not going to be available. I think that's how it should be. And if you want the Heat to win this game, you are going to have to get some nice things off of Triple J from the bench. And it's really been a tale of 2 halves for Jaime when you really think about his rookie year out of UCLA. Well, in the beginning, he looked like someone that was going to be downright phenomenal for Miami in the long term and the short term. Jeez, Minga. Pre-All-Star break, 49 games played, he was averaging 13 points per game, was arguably the second or third best rookie in this entire class, just behind Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren, and because he was shooting efficient as well, damn near 50% from the field. But ever since that groin injury, and then after the All-Star break, if you want to call it on the injury, you want to call on the rookie wall, whatever you want to say, his numbers just were not the same in the final 26 games of the regular season, averaging just barely 10 points, shooting a little bit lower, but it's practically the same thing. I'm not going to mix hairs about that. And by the way, though, I do want to note that Jaime did have 18 points and 20 points in the final 2 games of the season against Toronto in meaningless games. So those numbers on the right are kind of inflated by the final 2 because that's not what he was actually giving you on a nightly basis in the final 24 games. What with that being said, and the reason why I wanted to flash those 2 splits, because if you want the Heat to advance deep into the postseason, win on Philadelphia on Wednesday, you're going to need pre-All-Star break Jaime Jaquez Jr. I'm not asking for 20 points. I'm not even asking for 15. Just in a high playoff environment, when defenses are tightening up, give me some timely cuts, some big defensive stops, a couple times where you just get out in transition and get to the rim and finish. Just give me 10 to 12 points while playing meaningful, efficient, high-energy basketball like you were playing in the first 49 games of the season, and I believe that boost off the bench for Erik Spoelstra will be enough for Miami to get the upset win on the road, and it would be an upset because they are 4.5-point underdogs. Who you got? I'm about to give you my final prediction, as this is our final video, unless something crazy happens like Jimmy, Bam, Tyler not playing tomorrow before that game on Wednesday against the 76ers. Let me know who you got. MIA for the Heat, PHI for Philly. My final prediction. I'm going with the win, baby. I got the guts for our Miami Heat team. Do you is the question. I'm going 112-109. This would also hit the over in the game. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a high-scoring game than Vegas anticipates. Listen, Miami Heat basketball, we know it gets muddied up in the water, especially in the postseason. They play a slow brand of ball, and they really make it difficult throwing it back to the 90s, early 2000s. But I think 112-109 is good. I expect a big game from Jimmy. I think he's going to have 26, 27, 28 points in that range against the 76ers. Because who are they going to put on him? For real, they putting Tobias Harris on him? That's barbecue chicken. They putting Kelly Oubre on him? That's even worse. The other guys that they start is Joel Embiid, Maxey, and Kyle Lowry. They ain't guarding Jimmy. I expect Butler to be very, very motivated to beat the Sixers, to play the Knicks in the first round. But by the way, I want to play New York. Quick sidebar, they are the softest fucking fan base in the entire NBA. They are driving me up a wall. All they do is complain about Miami Heat injuring people. Yeah, we don't freaking injure people, New York. You guys are just soft and look to blame someone else for your own wrongdoings and failures over the last 20 years. All right, sorry. Back on track here. I think Bam also rebounds. After that tough game he had a week and a half ago against Philly, where him and Jimmy combined for 30 points and Maxey and Embiid combined for 70, I think those two, your duo, who have been the best duo in the Eastern Conference over the last 4 seasons, taking you to 2 NBA Finals and 3 Eastern Conference Finals, will show up and look for blood and revenge that they got embarrassed by 2 weeks ago. I expect Bam and Jimmy to show up and lead us to a victory on the road, and there's nothing like Miami Heat culture than going into Philly and making them an 8 seed or potentially out of the playoffs. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we're going to be live for that game tomorrow. We've been live for 65 games this year. I went back and looked to see how many we were live for. 65 was the final number. Hopefully we are going to be live for at least 17 more. At least 17 more. That takes us to the NBA Finals. So hit that sub button and join us along this ride in the postseason.